Nick, where are you? Dude, what happened?
I'm done. I failed.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're starting this one off a little bit different. We actually have to go to Ace Hardware to buy some brake parts and some tools. That way we can start on the fuel lines and brake lines for this video. So let's go ahead and hop in the super awesome minivan and go get our stuff. All right, got back from Ace Hardware. My hands are still covered in Raptor liner. Pretty sad, yes I know, but we got all kinds of goodies here. All the bolts we need to secure the tub of the Jeep to the actual mounts that we purchased. The mounts have already been prepped and cut down, but all the bolts were on back order, so luckily Ace Hardware had everything we need, grade 8 bolts. Also, while I was at Ace Hardware, guess what came in? Christmas came early. I have been waiting for this thing for weeks. It was just stuck in shipping. 12,000 lumen work light. So I'm hoping this will brighten up all the videos where I'm under the Jeep. Should be super, super bright. The body is officially secured to the frame. I am missing a couple bolts, so I gotta go order a few more, but for the most part, they all worked out well, thank goodness. Now we're gonna have at these old shocks. Now, I am gonna clean them up as best I can. Some of the rust here, though, I may end up having to repaint them, or maybe I'll put them on as they are now and then replace them down the road when we get some better ones. So with that, let's go ahead and get these cleaned up and fixed up. Now that is not half bad at all. Some new bushings, some new covers here. They actually look really, really good. Obviously a little paint would go a long way, but for now, they look amazing. Down the road, we can replace them with better and we'll be good to go. Alrighty, I just did my first flare here and it doesn't look half bad. We'll put it on the Jeep, see how it does. I did leave it a little bit longer than I needed purely so I could try a couple times if I need to. But otherwise, I put a little electrical wire along the old line just to match it perfectly. I read that trick online and it worked out really well. Like I said, I've never done brake lines, but I am optimistic. We've been hard at work. We got a ton of stuff knocked out. Let's check some of this out. So the body mounts came out really, really well. All of the bolt kits online were totally sold out, but a few trips to Ace Hardware, some grade 8 bolts, and I was able to piece together all the washers and bolts we needed to get the body correctly bolted to the frame. So we're good to go. Everything is super tight. Feels awesome to have that done. If you'll remember, the old bushings were destroyed, torn apart, broken up. These new ones are perfect. And if you look up here, the shocks have been completely put back together, back on the Jeep with the Rhino lining. They look so good just with the new shock covers. I would love to get some new shocks in the future, so we may be doing some upgrades, but for right now, these look 10 times better than they did before, and they still function exactly how they're supposed to. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the brake lines. First time doing brake lines, and they went really, really poorly. This is the nickel copper for the actual brake lines. Wasn't too bad. It's extremely malleable. I mean, you can just kind of bend it by hand. It doesn't kink very easily. So this, honestly, this wasn't too bad to do. The problem came with flaring the ends. I watched a ton of videos, and the flaring tool I bought is just junk. If you're doing this at home, make sure you invest in a good flaring tool. It will make a world of difference on your flares, and they'll look 10 times better, and you won't have to redo them a million times like I did. Now, the big problem came with the fuel line. Now, I was practicing on this piece. That's why it looks crazy. But I ended up having to go in, rip out all the old fuel line I flared, and then reflare and put in new stuff. And the big reason was the flaring tool I was using was kinking the ends when I did 90-degree bend. A great example is actually right here. I did a little 90-degree with my flaring tool, and that's just unacceptable. That's not gonna work well. So what I ended up doing was buying another roll of steel fuel line, and then I made sure to only do 45-degree bends. And that really turned out well. It fits better. The bends look really uniform, no kinks. It lays down perfectly in the Jeep, so I was super happy with how it came out, but I did have to redo it all. Super annoying, but the end product is way better, and I think it'll definitely work out in the end. So at this point, we have the fuel line in the Jeep. We have all the brake lines in there. They're not quite screwed to the body yet. We've left it kind of loose for now. We're actually gonna go do some pressure testing, put in the brake fluid, and cross our fingers that it doesn't leak everywhere. Once we get a good test going through that everything is super tight, I'll go in and button it up and screw it into the Jeep. Check this out, an old 7-Up bottle cap we found in the frame. And then you know how they say projects always breed new projects? Well, we're trying to pull out the whole rack and pinion thing here, the power steering, and unfortunately the bolts, like every other bolt on this Jeep, was spinning up inside of the frame. Super annoying, so we had to cut a little access hole through our beautiful Raptor liner here. That made me really, really sad. So I have to touch that up. But we ended up welding the nuts here inside the frame rail to the frame rail. That way they couldn't spin freely. We were able to get everything out here, just kind of get it loose. And this was all to get to the brake line that was running up along the frame rail. So now we can run our new brake line along that same path and we should be good to go. let's go ahead, get some brake fluid in the canister here, start pumping those brakes, and hope they don't leak. You got a bunch more knocked out on the Jeep. It definitely took me a lot longer than I was expecting. Getting those brake lines just right, getting them run with the right length, not too much extra slack, with a huge pain in the butt. But I think the end product is gonna be so much better. And just the peace of mind knowing all the brake lines are brand new, they're not gonna rust through. And I ended up using these rubber bushings that go around the brake lines. That should protect it so it's not metal on metal, should prevent any rust in the future. And this means that the next video, we'll be installing the gas tank, our parking brakes, and then maybe even jumping in on cleaning up the transmission to get ready for the full rebuild. But that's a wrap on this video. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoyed it. It helps me a lot. Hit that subscribe button if you want to watch this thing get built back to life. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you in the next one.